by taxi and minibus drivers protesting rising fuel prices and worsening economic conditions. The government, led by President João Lourenço and the ruling MPLA party, has condemned the violence, with some officials blaming the political opposition for inciting the protests. Meanwhile, civil society and human rights observers have raised concern about the use of force and the arrests of protest leaders. To help us unpack what led to this crisis, the state of Angola's economy, and how the government is handling the fallout, we're now joined by Angolan political analyst Jose Gama. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, sir.
Perhaps for those who may not closely be following events in Angola, what exactly triggered last week's protest by taxi and minibus operators?
So the strike started on July 28th in response to the increase in diesel price from, let's say, a rise of 33%. Parts of gradual fuel subsidy removal from policy initiated in 2023, and public transportation fare rose up to 50%, creating immediate banning on ordinary citizens. So that's why the Taxis Association called the strike. And actually some people, there was also infiltration there, so unknown people just took over the strike, and after those tax association already cancelled that one. And actually the situation was out of control for the first day, and the next following days the government had to restore order, and unfortunately there was excess of force and producing those killings. Like now 31 people were killed, a lot of injuries, and too many people being detained. Over 1,000, over 1,200, something like this.
So this is being described as the most serious unrest in Angola for several years. In your view, what does this moment say about the level of public frustration in the country?
So it looks like actually that demonstration was totally different if we compare to the previous ones. The previous ones, the people call it and announce the government and say, okay, we're going to strike from the certain place to another, and then it's the police patrol them. And that one was totally out of control. In some village around Luanda, it was accompanied by lootings, and there was no leadership, and people were confronting directly the police officers. So that one was was one of the things that's never happened before: confrontation between people confronting the police.
Who are these people then that were confronting the police? Were they taxi drivers? You said that these protests were hijacked. Do we know by who?
No, that's what those guys. They're not the taxi driver, because the taxi driver already canceled the strike, and other people just to cover the streets. It looks like most of the people, if you see the age, it's people between, teenagers from 16 to 25. Actually, there were young people leading those confrontations. People, you see, if you can see, there was no political motivation. They just went to destroy the store, robbing and looting and robbing foods. They say they're hungry, they want to eat. They just, so the activity was just concentrate on this. So they never came to the street and say, okay, they want the MPLA out, they don't want the president. No, that one was not political motivation. Was I think was social and economic motivation. Was that one was a very important sign that was sent to to the Angolan authorities.
All right. So you're saying that these young people weren't complaining about anything in particular. They just seized an opportunity to loot. Is that what you're suggesting?
Is exactly just looting and rob and taking the food from the stores, from some store like not shop rights,
Mm.
but those in the same level as shop rights. That's what they did.
Okay, so there may have been a spillover in terms of this demonstration by these young people that was done almost, ad hoc. But I am guessing that perhaps what the taxi drivers were feeling maybe is symptomatic of a general feeling in the country, especially when one considers the high cost of living and the challenges that the average Angolan citizen is facing at the moment.
Even the tax driver association, they were surprised. They were surprised. They were surprised. On the second day, they came out and condemned those looting. They condemned the looting, the old situation that was taking place in Luanda, because that was not in Luanda. I mean, even out of the, in other provinces like Huila, Ikolo, Bengal, let's say like 3 or 4 provinces that's also were facing those kind of strike.
So, help us understand then why some of the taxi operators were arrested as well. What do we know about the nature of the arrests and the charges?
One of the leaders of tax association was detained. Was the deputy president. The government say he is the one who was inciting people, going to the people that's going to the streets. I think only one guy
Mm.
that was detained actually. I mean from the tax driver association, and in general there was no taxis, there was no tax driver detained. Most of the guys were detained. The police catch them on the street because in Luanda we do have a camera that was installed by Chinese, and was through this that police could find most of the guys who have been detained now. They say they're searching, they are looking for like let's say 2,000 people that should be detained even in the following days.
So we've talked about the use of excessive force. How has the government justified this? What have they said?
They just find they saying that they need to restore order. But on the first day, the police was calm. There was no injuries, there was no killings. But on the second day, okay, the police were using the real bullets. Police was shooting straight to the peoples, to the young guys. That's why there was those injuries. But some says it should be more like 100 people killed. But officially, they just assume that was around 31 people. Uh, 31 fatalities.
Some officials have suggested that opposition parties may be fueling or manipulating the protests. Is there any evidence to suggest this might be true?
No, actually, there's no evidence that was political motivation or instigation from political party. The president also said that it was external forces and internal ones that were manipulating people, but actually there was no evidence on that. Even the ruling party unit condemned those looting. Actually, most of society condemned the looting. Many people, no one agreed with that. Actually, the problem is that the government doesn't want to assume that the people are angry, the people are very sad with the government, and they just went to the street and looting the store and taking food. So they don't want to assume that.
Let's talk about the broader economic picture. I mean, these fuel price hikes have been cited as a trigger. You say that the young people took it upon themselves, but there was a movement by the taxi operators themselves. What was behind the increase in the fuel price?
Actually, it looks like a cycle. If you the full price increase, let's say the bread, the transport, everything increase. That's why people. That's why people. I mean, that's why the tax association called the strike the strike because the cost of life in Angola, especially, I mean, not in Angola in general, the cost of life was very very high. Let's say like this, and people was in and those increase are taking. I mean, they occur like twice a year. We've been facing this since 2023, and the government says that's a recommendation for World Bank and those international associations, organizations that assist in the government economy. And that was the first. I mean, this year I think that one was the first time, and even the end of the year they should increase again the price of the oil.
Mm.
So that's mean we will expect probably more protests, more strikes, but not definitely on this level, right? That we faced.
So, just how difficult is life for the average Angolan?
It so actually what happened, everything, the prices are rising, the price of food, but the salary is still the same. That's
Mm.
the main problem that people are facing.
So, a large proportion of Angola's population is young and they are the most unemployed. Do you think that this reflects a deeper generational frustration with the status quo and that perhaps sparks this spontaneous action by young people?
It does. Let's say like 60% of the young generation are unemployment, and you can see that it's almost the same rates
Mm.
as South Africa. So that's mean you do have a lot of people, a lot of young guys on the streets, a lot of guys that are not working. That's why they are available for those kind of activities.
Do you think that this crisis could have long-term political consequences for the MPLA, especially ahead of future elections?
Uh, at the first phase, we are realizing that it could, but the response given by the government, the violence, the excess from the police officer, uh, probably next time people will realize twice and not going to
Mm.
street. Otherwise, they're going to kill.
But
But
we,
actually,
but we,
but another way, it was a very, very, very significant signal that was sent to the government that people they are not fearing the police, they are not fearing the
Mm.
bullets. They are ready to confront.
Do you think that these young people, I mean, the looting to one side were all the young people looting, or were there some genuinely protesting?
Actually, most of them were young people. We could see on the images circulating on internet. Most of them are young people.
And were they all looting, or were there some that were just
Yes, so they're
protesting?
looting, burning on the streets, blocking
Mm.
roads. That was the kind of activity they were doing.
Do you think that we might see more unrest? Perhaps not looting, but now that there's been action on the streets, that people might be inspired to say, hang on, we can stand up to this government, we can stand up to these authorities.
No, it won't happen. But definitely there will be more. No, there will not be more unrest because people now
Mm.
are fear. They're scared because the government, because of the response from the government. So we can expect more
Mm.
unrest, at least sooner.
How has the media in Angola been covering these events? Is it easy as a journalist to cover these stories? Is the public getting access to reliable information?
Yes, especially the private media, because we do have like two mediums, a private one and the public one controlled by the government. The controlled by the governments, they just provide those information that the government wants the people get access. But the private one actually are reporting in the independent way, neutral. They're providing the proper information and
Mm.
for actually for the people.
Are the opposition political parties trying to get some political capital from this?
Actually, not. No political party are taking
Mm.
are taking this for their side. Actually, not.
The use of excessive force, I'm sure, must be a concern for civil society groups. Have they been coming forward?
Yes. So, what society group calling is for independent independent investigation and transparent. Because the president condemned the lootings. He blames the guys who went to the street, but now civil society and some NGO, they want a real and transparent investigation.
Mm.
We want to understand what happened, what actually happened, and how does it start. If there was instigation, who did that? So that's what they're calling from the civil society.
Social media, tell us what's been going on there. Are there communications that are taking place, or just people
There are
commenting?
that people are commenting their communication. There was no blockade actually,
Mm.
and the government also blamed the social media, saying that the guys from the external force use social media to instigate those guys. But if you see the if you see the guys who did those lootings, it doesn't look like they're people that are using like smart cell phones and taking their times on social medias. I mean, it was just an excuse that the government are using.
All right. So, what steps do you think should be taken immediately to prevent further violence and to perhaps even rebuild trust between the state and its citizens?
Uh, w- Actually, we don't think that's. I mean, according to the president's statements, it looks like if there will be more arrests, the police will still keep in using violence. At
And
least was the message was this.
all right. So, I know that we're stuck a little bit on the looting. I'm just wondering if we take the looting to one side, are the conditions in Angola to such a degree that people might protest, people might go to the streets um, without looting?
Uh, they can, but it will not be it will not be the same groups as the ones
Mm.
on those demonstration. Probably other groups. It can be another demonstration
Mm.
without looting.
You don't think the authorities are concerned, especially when they consider what they've seen in Mozambique recently in terms of protests, that these things could escalate. It starts off as looting, and then people in general then say, "This is our moment."
Yes, at the first time they were. I mean, since that happened in Mozambique, the Angolan authority also appealed appeal in saying that what happened in Mozambique will never happen here. That's why last time when Venancio Mondlane was coming to, I mean, was banned to enter into Angola. Actually, they're looking. They're paying a very special attention on this. They don't want the what happened
Mm.
to Mozambique to repeat to take place in Angola.
How popular is the MPLA and Mr. Lorenzo as government in Angola right now?
So there's a evident decline of image of President Lourenço. The MPLA also, but especially the President Lourenço. And as you see, the last election in 2022, MPLA won with 51%. Actually, the president are aware that his image is losing population during these 2 years.
All right, that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, Jose, and giving us an update on the situation in Angola.
Angola. Thank you.
Muito obrigado. Adeus.
Obrigado. Meu Deus.
All right, that's political analyst Jose Gama, who's saying that by and large, these protests, the original protests, were hijacked by young people who just took this opportunity to loot that had nothing to do with any political movement. And I've got to say, I saw this play out in the United Kingdom 2010, I think it was, 2010, 2011. And these young kids just piled into shops, stealing sneakers and all sorts of things. So there is always a danger that some of these protests, young people seize the day, as it were, and use it to their own ends. But I do think that there is definitely concern wherever there's prices going up, particularly fuel, which affects everybody. There's always undercurrents, and perhaps whilst it's easy to just say there was looting and young people out of hand, there may be something brewing. We'll certainly keep on top of that story for you. It's 8:30.